Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Clockedin with me, your host, Jordan Edwards. I'm thrilled to have you tune in as we dive into the dynamic world of productivity, success, and stories of incredible individuals who've mastered the art of getting things done. Whether you're commuting, hitting the gym, or just relaxing at home, this podcast is the go-to source for inspiration and actionable tips to level up your productivity game. I'm on a mission to unravel the secrets of those who seem to effortlessly manage their time and achieve their goals. So if you're ready to clock in and unlock your full potential, you're in the right place. We've got a lineup of amazing guests, industry experts, and thought leaders who will share their insights and strategies to help us crush your to-do list and make the most out of every moment. Get ready to get inspired, motivated, and equipped with the tools you need to supercharge your productivity. This is #Clockedin with Jordan Edwards. Let's dive in. It's Jordan here with Jeff Gigante, and we're at his new restaurant, Boulon. I'm going to get corrected on everything.
It's all right.
It's okay.
It's good.
It's part of the
process.
process.
We don't care what you call us as long as you call us.
Yeah, that's good. But most of you guys know Jeff, 25-year restaurateur. He's running Next Level Brands. They are movers and shakers in the Tampa space, and we're excited to be here. We couldn't get a restaurant reservation, so we had to get Jeff himself.
That's not true. You can. You just got to come at like 4:45 or 9:45, but that's not true.
I'm just
happy to have you. So thank you so much for having me. As you said, Jeff, with Next Level Brands. Super exciting times right now.
Absolutely. How's the opening been? Because we were talking to Heather. She was like, yeah, it's a soft opening that just became an opening.
Yeah, it became a punch in your mouth opening. So we opened up, we had a few friends and family dates, like 2 lunches, a dinner, and then we did an investor dinner. And what was really special is like our actual first evening was a celebration of life service for my partner, Andrew, who just lost his father early December. Wow. So I feel like his dad, who was this amazing man, was able to kind of spiritually open up our restaurant. So it was just a great feeling. And, you know, I'm a faith-filled guy, so I love how God always kind of puts the plan right in place there for you. Yeah. So that's how we've opened. And so we've had about 3.5 weeks of service so far. And I will say this, you mentioned Heather. Heather Rebus is our GM. Yeah. She's as big time industry expert as there is in hospitality. She came from Sean Brock's Husk in Savannah, Georgia, where she opened that restaurant and ran it for 5 years. And we just were blessed the fact that she had a beautiful baby with her husband, and they were wanting to move closer to their family that lives in Sarasota. So her dad is a fan of ours at Forbichy and said, hey, you should talk to these guys. They're like doing like big time restaurants. Yeah. So she DM'd me on Instagram. So I just did a little research and I was like, oh my God, this girl's amazing. Yeah. So we had a Zoom call with her and then ended up just fell in love with her over Zoom. Like just how she commands a room and her presence. And so we asked her to come down. And so she flew down, I think 2 or 3 days later. We had an interview in person and we hired her on the spot.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So she's awesome. And so, so our opening here, you know, this was my 31st restaurant.
Oh, wow.
In my career.
Wow.
I've done this a lot. And I will say above and beyond, it was the best as far as having, you know, the big 3, meaning your kitchen and the food, your hospitality, and the functionality of the design and decor, all working together. So, you know, service, kitchen, and decor all came together seamlessly. And the kitchen's been just so impressive with, you know, Chef Hab, and we have a new chef that's come on, Chef Abby. And then, of course, all of our team, Chef Adam, who's going to be the executive chef of of Union, our new restaurant opening. Yeah. And then Chef Fernando, who's our executive chef at Forbichy. It's really, we just put all the resources because you see the size and stature of this restaurant. We have 336 seats. So it's a massive space and just took all of our best and brightest to come together and systemize and organize the kitchen. So it's been great.
Absolutely. And it is a staple on Water Street because you drive by and the signage. Yeah. I don't even want to know what was that like.
Well, so I saw this. So this all comes from my, you know, things in my history that made huge impact on me. Okay. So that big red double pole raceway neon sign that says Boulon is an homage to, in New York City downtown, there's an amazing restaurant called the Odeon.
Okay.
And it's got this massive red neon sign. So when I saw this store frontage, I always in my mind, I said, oh my God, we got to do that sign. And even though our landlord at the time and their all of their legal were like, we don't think that that's going to work. And it was something I absolutely did not budge on. I said, just spoke about it as if it was already up and it's a foregone conclusion. That sign is coming. And so I was really proud of that. And once it was up and everything, the entire, all of our Water Street neighbors and the landlord and all of their agents were like, oh my God, it's amazing. Because it really, this is the beginning of the Water Street development. Yeah. Right here at Water and Channelside. Yeah. So Amalie Arena's there, Heron's here, Asher, Cora, all these buildings surrounded. It's the start of phase 1. So I thought, like, what better than a in your face, this big neon raceway sign. And, I was thinking video wise, how great is that for people to film? It's like a big city restaurant. So that's what we wanted to have. And you have these big, beautiful windows. So everybody just looks in, and I wanted that to be, imprinted on the minds of all our Tampanians that are driving by, like, we've got to go there one time, as they see it coming through.
And you did that, because when I drove by and I saw it for the first time with the sign, I go, wow. And I grew up in New York, so this really gave me that feeling. And it's interesting because the more people I talk to that are around this area, they go, New York, we're getting the New York vibe. And you're creating something pretty incredible.
Thank you. I think this is where Tampa's headed. And we wanted to be the first to kind of put our stake in the ground and say, you know what, we're going to build big, beautiful, convivial concepts where people want to come and gather. And, I hope that this is a generational concept, and that my kids, as they grow up, they can come in and take over where I've left off and just run this big, beautiful dining hall. Yeah,
it's absolutely incredible. And so when you were thinking about this and going through this process, you mentioned that you're the first of 9 full-service restaurants that are going to be on Water Street. Is that a timing situation, or were you guys like, how did that work out?
I think a lot of the commitments and lease signings happen similarly, but then, we're coming out of COVID. Yeah. So the city of Tampa is inundated with people wanting to build.
Oh, absolutely.
So we have all these, cycles happening, and, I'll pat myself on the back a little bit. We've got some really great contacts and have made great relationships. So we were able to kind of get out of the gate first. Yeah. And started to build. And we had a great builder here and a great architect team and designer. And they crushed their timeline. Yeah. Even though we were hoping to be ready October. Yeah. We ended up getting, out of the gate here late January. For me, as compared, Union's over a year behind.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And so this was like being 2 months behind is like on time.
Fantastic.
That's on time.
Absolutely. And let's dive into Union a little bit, because people, some people know about it, some people don't.
Sure.
How did that come to be, and how was building both of them at the same time?
So Union was already meant to be open for a year right now. Yeah. Like we were supposed to be having our year anniversary in November.
So interesting enough. Yeah. Jeff came on the podcast one time before, and that was back in November of 21. Mm-hmm. And I re-listened to it and I checked it out, and he was like, "Oh, Union's open. Union's ready to go." Like, Union's
we were ready, right? Yeah. You should come next month. We'll be in there. Well, that did not happen. Yeah. And caused by multiple delays on really on everybody's side. Yeah. We had some redirect on some changing of upstairs. We wanted to do not just private event space. We ended up outfitting that with a nightclub. So really? It's going to be really, really cool.
I'm excited about it.
Thursday, Friday, Saturdays from 10 to 2, we're going to be like a very proper upscale nightclub. So that's going to be cool. And some contracting delays and some supply chain. There was a lot of things that caused those delays. But as we started getting Boulon up and running on the build out, my partner, Andrew Wright, owns the property where Union is. So we had some flexibility on rent and everything. And, this is owned by strategic property partners backed by Cascade, which is Bill Gates. And I'm sure Mr. Gates is like, look, we understand you're having lots of troubles, not our concern. We need you guys to get up and running and pay rent.
So this makes a lot of sense because I was curious about the cash flow situation going on when you're building simultaneously.
Sure.
It can be.
So you got to get stores up and, on foot in order to obviously get cash flow going. But for us, we're a pretty solid company.
Yeah, of course.
We've got a great bank of investors.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like, none of these investors had any issues causing our delay. So I didn't think it was right. So we solved for all of those short runs and cash flow issues internally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and, I'm very, cautiously optimistic that everything's going to work out based on our first 4 weeks here.
Absolutely.
People are super excited about what Boulon means for Tampa. And, like I said, got a ton of problems. They're all very high-class problems.
Yeah.
They're easy to solve when you have more customers than you have seats for. So it's been very good, and we're super blessed. And I'm just happy to be able to stand a restaurant of this stature up in Tampa at a time that is so historic in its timeline. Like Tampa has arrived. We had Tom Brady for the last 3 years, the Stanley Cup champions. I mean, it's just crazy amount of excitement, attention, and awareness on Tampa.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is like an iconic spot because of everything occurring. And just if you guys get a chance, we'll probably shoot a video around this, but the decor here is just, what was that like? Because I feel like this is Heather was mentioning it to us before. She goes, this is not a normal restaurant.
No.
This is a lot going on.
There's a lot going on with our design. So our designer is a guy by the name of Zebulon Perron, and he's out of Montreal.
Okay.
And he is as big a world-class designer as exists on the planet. Yeah. And, he and my partner and myself really gelled together. Yeah. So when we were talking about, because he built Union. He designed and built Union first.
Oh, wow.
Then this came along, this opportunity. So we've been working with him for 3 years now. And he's like, brasseries that's my forte.
Oh, wow.
Because he's a Frenchman in Montreal and, the classic brasserie. And so he's like, and then he was here on a Union tour just to look at construction and everything. And we took him to this spot, and he said, Jeff, this spot is such a special spot. And like to do a brasserie with the window, like he saw the entire design of the restaurant in his head.
That's incredible.
So when we ended up, bringing him on to do the design, like this, what you're sitting in now was their first draft.
Oh,
which, really? With Union, there was many redos. This one, we may have moved this bar a little bit further and moved this and put this banquette, but this design element was the first draft that he drew. So, I believe, again, as I said, I'm a faith-filled guy. I'm hugely spiritual. Yeah. But I believe that, when people come together, like the term Boulon is an iteration of his name, Zebulon. Wow. So how that name came about, and I'll only tell you because it's a funny story, is that we were trying to come up with a name for this French brasserie. So we're looking at French terms and syndicate and all these different things. And none of it really resounded with us. Yeah. And so my partner Joe was on vacation in Montreal at their summer home they have there, and was with Vinny Lecavalier, who's the hockey player, who's one of our investors and a dear friend of Joe's. And Vinny kept saying the designer's name, Zebulon. That's a great name. You guys should name the place Zebulon. Well, I'm like, listen, bro, we can't name the place after the designer. Like, he's not an investor. Yeah. He's a hired consultant. And so I started drawing around with that name on paper, Zebulon, Boulon. And I was like, oh, Boulon, what does that mean? So I'm checking on Google Translate, Bulon. No definition, does not exist. Alternate spelling, Boulon. Yeah. And it came out Bolt. Really? Bolt. Now, it's not lightning bolt. Yeah. The word for that in French is éclair. So we couldn't call ourselves éclair. But we have Amalie Arena directly next to us. Yeah. John Cooper, our coach, is one of our investors. Yeah. And bolt makes all the sense to me because, a nut and bolt separately are kind of, weak. Yeah. Together, they're unbeatable. Yeah. Same thing with union. What is union? A union is people coming together to create something stronger.
Absolutely.
So Bolt just made perfect sense to me. And so I sent that BOULON to my designer, my graphics guy, and he's like, oh my God, I love this. B's and L's and N's, they're sexy. The logo, I can play with all this different stuff. And so in the design here, our genius designer Zebulon has created a lot of little Easter eggs with Bolt, because a bolt is hexagonal, right?
Oh, really?
So like you see our lights right there, that's all custom hexagonal. That you'll see Bolt. You'll see as you start to look around the dining room, you'll be able to see that come in many different ways. Like that center table is in the shape of a bolt. The bottom part is like a screw. A lot of our table bases, you can see on all the shelving up around there, it's all hexagonal.
Really?
So he put a lot of that bolt throughout the design.
That's incredible.
So, yeah, it's. I mean, the design is amazing.
Yeah, you really can't even beat that. That's
no. So it's a great story. Absolutely. You know, what is life? Yeah. What are you doing right now?
Yeah,
you're telling stories.
Absolutely.
The best businesses in the world tell their stories better than everyone else.
I love that.
So the name has a story. Why we did this here has a story. The designer has a story. All of the design has its own story.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just couldn't be happier where we are at month one going in. But, you know, I would say that this could be of the, you know, sentences when you hear people talk about Burns and Columbia and ukulele. I think Boulon could certainly be mentioned in those sentences.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's incredible for someone who's been in Tampa for so long for you to go, we need to get to that caliber.
Yeah, well, you know, in my mind's eye, I always dreamed of doing things of this stature.
Yeah.
You know, my previous group, Chicho Restaurant Group, was great, but we were a fast casual company. You know, the Fresh Kitchens, the Callies, the Taco Dirties, which are all excellent and great, and they serve a beautiful purpose, but they're more utilitarian than experiential.
Yes.
Right? You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to remember the last time you were in Fresh Kitchen's line waiting for your bowl.
Yeah.
Delicious bowl had a great you know,
different experience.
Great, but it's a different experience. I wanted to put something to where people would make memories within the four walls.
Yeah.
And so that's what Next Level Brands is all about. We're looking to elevate the culinary landscape of Tampa Bay.
I think you have definitely done
Thank you,
that
buddy.
here.
I appreciate it. We're on the path. I don't know if it's done yet, but we're definitely
trending in that direction.
Yeah.
Now, in the first podcast, you mentioned how you were going to Wim Hof's in Poland. And I would be mistaken to not bring that back up. But how was that experience for you? And
so let me just start out this way. If I had any idea what I'd be doing in those mountains in Poland, I would have never signed up for it.
Really?
It was the most challenging and ended up being the most impactful week of my life.
Yeah.
But all of my edges were pushed. I was stretched. I was, you know, not to mention the day I arrived there is the same day that Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine.
Oh my God.
So it started on February 24th.
Oh, wow.
2022. And so that was a bit terrifying. And sadly, you know, we started as 88 people, men and women.
Yeah.
And we lost about 11 of them had to go back they were Ukrainian.
Oh, wow.
And they had, you know, there was a call to all men from, certain age to like 66 or whatever, that they had to stand and fight for their country. So it was very sad that first day. And so, but for me, it was, to sum that entire week up, you know, Wim's method, which is free, you can go Wim Hof method on the Apple Store and downloading it, his breathing techniques, and learn all about the method. And the method consists of cold exposure, breath work, deep holotropic breath work, and mindset. Mindset's simply meditation and just kind of allowing your mind to be open to, you know, how powerful the mind is. Yeah. And so what Wim teaches you every day by pushing you way over your edge is that the limits that you've set for yourself have been pre-programmed since you were very little. You know what I mean? Like, get off that table. Don't sing in public. Yeah. Don't do that. You know, all those things. Your world becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. What Wim shows you there is that we use such a small amount of our capability.
Yeah.
And that the capabilities are limitless.
Yeah.
Whatever you think you can do, you can do.
Yeah.
And he'd prove that to you 4 or 5 times a day, because the stuff we were doing, I was like, I cannot do this.
Well,
and by the end of it,
an
example is, I'll give you just first of all, the first morning we were supposed to have breath work. So the breath work sessions were usually 60 to 90 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So doing that deep breath work, which is like, you go on a trip on those, because you're high on your own supply, as he would say. But so that first morning, everyone was dressed nice and warm. So he comes down, we have breakfast, and all of a sudden we hear this drumming. And he's in there in like this Aztec like poncho, shorts, no shoes, this crazy mad Dutchman, 62 years old. He's playing, and he's singing, and he's chanting. So we all go over, and he starts to talk about his method and how he found this method, how he came upon it, which was out of the grief of losing his wife. Yeah. She committed suicide, and he was so grief-stricken, and he just felt compelled to get into the cold, and the cold allowed him freedom within his ears to not think or be grief-stricken, or he couldn't think of anything except surviving. Yeah. So he was onto that, and he kept going. And so that first morning, like, we're thinking we're going to do like this nice breath work. I wore sweatpants, nice sweatshirt, down there. Now, meanwhile, we're in Śnieżkia, Poland. Yeah. And it is like 18 degrees and white out snowing. Oh, wow. Outside. Yeah. So we're all there. We're talking 20 minutes, and he's like, okay, everybody up. I was like, okay. So we all get up. We're like, going to do some, okay, everybody strip. Okay. And I'm like, strip? Did he just say strip? I'm thinking, did I even wear underwear? Okay, I did. So we strip. Okay, we're going out. So I look outside, and it's like white out snowing. Like, so I'm no shirt. I'm in my underwear, along with 70 some odd other people, girls in their bra and panties, and so I like go to put my boots on, and he goes, "You're not going to be needing those." And I'm like, bro, it's a foot of snow outside. So he marched us 100 yards out into the middle of this big field. Yeah. Had the drummer sit in the center, and they were playing these drums. And so we ended up doing his horse stance, which if you see that, you're basically like this, and you're doing this. Yeah. So he's doing it, and they're chanting and singing, and all the instructors who are nice, bundled up, warm with earmuffs and hats and glasses and everything. So we're all naked out there, basically, just in our underwear. And okay, so we're doing this, and he's talking about it, and they're chanting, and like, I'm thinking, I was like, well, I'm not really cold, because I was freezing walking out there. I mean, you're coming from snow. Tampa. Of course, bro. There's no snow here. And so I looked down, and like probably 5 or 6 minutes in, the warmth of my legs and sweat had made circles. So I was now standing on the grass. Oh, wow. And I looked around, and everybody had like kind of sweated through the snow. And so we're doing this. Well, we ended up doing that for 25 minutes. Oh my God. So can you do a squat there for 25 minutes? I would have never, I was like, what? And so they count down 25 minutes. And so I'm like, okay, wow, this is, and I'm starting to think of my mind, it's like our first morning. So I'm like, wow, this is going to be powerful. Yeah. So, okay, so let's go back in. So I'm like looking, and he's like, okay, everybody on your back. I'm like, where? No, I'm in underwear. So it's just pressing you constantly. So we did these little flutter kicks. Yeah. 8 minutes. Oh, wow. Well, I've never done that more than 1 minute in my entire life. And I only put my foot down maybe once or twice. Wow. But again, like all these barriers in your brain, you're going through them one after the other after the other. Yeah. So eventually you're like, I guess I can do this. Yeah. And so that ended up being a super powerful message. And every day we did 5 or 6 items like that. That's planks for 9 minutes, push-ups, holding your breath. It was crazy.
Yeah, and the coolest thing about that is because, like you were saying, we have limitations based on us, by our friends, by their family, by the people around.
Yeah, by the norms of society.
Yeah, it's everywhere, and it's the news, and it says, oh, no, you can't. You got to stay in your house, not build another restaurant. Right. Like that, you hear these constantly, and you have to get around those people that are going to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Break everything down, and let's really see what's possible here. And you're doing that for everyone in Tampa, so I want to say thank you.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
You look at this, and everyone who's going to come by will see it, but it's how did a person do that? Like,
Yeah.
is he a regular guy like us? Like,
Well, it wasn't one person.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, it takes a village, and it took many, many people of collaboration. But like, 2 years ago when we looked at this space, we were in here,
yeah,
and this was all just raw cement and pebbles on the ground.
really.
So every single surface of every single thing that's in here, every chair, every glass, every plate, every
Yeah.
tile on the floor, planter, glass, every color has been across my desk with my team deciding absolutely everything. So like for me, it gets me emotional to think that we created this entire concept out of thin air.
Yeah.
And that takes such an amazing amount of people and collaboration and debating and no, I don't like that, or I want that, or I don't want tablecloths. Let's put paper on there.
Yeah.
Every one of these decisions is super intimate to me.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes to, be a small business person,
Yeah.
which runs our country.
Absolutely.
Small business. And that's why I'm so proud to be in Florida, where we have a governor that says, listen, you can close if you want, but that's your decision.
Yeah.
Other states in the north had no choice.
Yeah.
They were shuttered.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to be here. I love that Tampa is now approaching this big city status.
Yeah.
Like more people are moving here than Miami now.
Yeah.
That's huge for us, man.
It's massive. And with the sports teams, with the restaurants, we're raising our levels. We're getting Michelin star places around.
Yes.
It's really becoming on the map. And I think that's a big part to you.
Well, thank you. Look, our little corner of the world over here in Tampa, Florida, we're very proud to be here. We're honored to be welcomed by the community. We want to build a lot more cool places like this. As I said, Union, the big American concept that opens up next month. Nightclub upstairs, big restaurant downstairs, and that's in the West Shore district. We're super excited about that. We have other plans for Tampa and a few for St. Pete. So we've got lots of things in the works.
I love it. Well, I appreciate the time.
Of course, brother.
Where can people find you? Is it at one of the restaurants?
So I'm always between Forbici and Boulon right now. Spending more time at Boulon because we're brand new, and so I just got to make sure that we get off on the right footing here before Union gets stood up. But you can find us at all of our social channels, and I am on LinkedIn at Jeff Gigante and on Instagram at Jeff Gigante, and we're excited to be here, part of the fabric that's making Tampa so great. I
appreciate you, and I appreciate your team, and just putting this all together, and that we were able to take the time to meet.
And check out Wim Hof.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Thank you for reaching the end of the podcast. For that, we'll give you a complimentary coaching session in the link below with Edwards Consulting. Hope to see you there, and have a great day, and keep clocking in.